Do you believe in destiny? I didn't. 15 years driving a taxi in Detroit taught me that life is just coincidence, chance. You're in one place, someone else is in another, and sometimes your paths cross. Nothing more than that. But that night, that early Saturday morning, at 3:47 a.m., when the rain was falling in a thin mist and the streets were empty, everything changed. My name is Marcus, 43 years old, divorced, father to a daughter who barely spoke to me, a man who had given up on a lot in life, who just existed, driving, surviving, nothing more, until she showed up, wedding dress, torn veil, barefoot, running down Woodward Avenue like hell itself was right behind her. And maybe it was. She banged on my taxi window, eyes filled with terror, voice cracking. Please, just get me far away from here. I could have ignored it. I could have sped off. Could have thought, not my problem. But I didn't. I unlocked the door. And what happened after that changed my life forever. This is the story of one night, one ride, one desperate plea. It's the story of how two broken souls crossed paths in the dead of night, and how sometimes a stranger can save your life. But before we begin, let me warn you. This is not a happy story. At least not at first. It's a story about betrayal, manipulation, fear, being hunted. But it's also about courage, truth, redemption. It's about what happens when you finally say no to the person who controls you. When you run, when you fight, when you refuse to be the victim. And it's about what happens when someone, a complete stranger, chooses to stand by you when everyone else turns their back. So buckle up, because this ride is going to be intense. It's going to be dangerous. And in the end, you'll understand why that night changed everything. Why I was never the same. And why Claire, the bride who climbed into my taxi on that rainy night. She wasn't just another passenger. She was the person who reminded me what it means to be human. This is the bride who ran into my taxi. And it starts now. It was 3:47 in the morning, and my life was about to change forever. The rain was falling lightly, the kind that wets you slowly but soaks your soul. The streets were empty. Just me, the shining pavement, and the red neon sign from a closed bar reflecting in the puddles. Woodward Avenue looked like an abandoned painting. No life, no hurry, no destination. I know every corner of this city, every shadow, every pothole. 43 years on my back, divorced for a decade, the taxi had become my home, my refuge, sometimes my prison. I had been driving for hours without picking up a single person. Dead night. Even the girls from Cass Avenue had gone home. The radio was playing soft jazz. Miles Davis, I think. I was thinking about stopping to grab a hot coffee when I saw her. A figure running down the wet sidewalk. White dress. My foot hit the brake before my brain caught up. She was barefoot, the wedding dress clinging to her body from the rain. A torn veil dragging behind her. Makeup completely ruined. Mascara dripping down her pale face like black paint. She saw me, ran straight to the taxi, slammed her hands against the window. Please, please help me. I hesitated. Not from fear, not from distrust. It was something else, something in her eyes. Pure desperation, real terror, and something I recognized. A kind of pain I'd felt myself once. I unlocked the door. She got in like a storm. The soaked dress drenched the back seat, but I didn't care. She was shaking, not from the cold, from fear. I locked the doors, started the engine. Where to? I asked, watching her through the rear-view mirror. She didn't answer at first. She just stared out the back window, breathing fast, like a cornered animal. Anywhere, she whispered, voice breaking. Just far. Take me far away from here, please. I didn't ask anything else. I pressed the gas. The taxi groaned but obeyed. I left Woodward Avenue and cut through the side streets. Industrial neighborhoods, abandoned buildings, shattered windows. Detroit has those. Places the world forgot. She kept looking back, always back. I looked too. In the mirror, searching for headlights, for problems. Is someone following you? I asked, keeping my voice calm. She didn't respond, just gripped her dress so tightly her fingers turned white. Rain hit the windshield. The wipers squeaked. The silence inside the cab was heavy, thick. I could hear her breathing, uneven, suffocated. We passed a closed gas station, a traffic light blinking yellow on its own, a stray dog crossing the street. The city looked dead, but I knew it wasn't. Detroit never truly sleeps. It just pretends. I drove for a few more minutes, turned left, then right. No destination, just getting distance. Then, in the rear view, I saw it. She had pulled off the torn veil, thrown it on the floor. Her hair was loose, wet, plastered to her face, and she was crying, quietly. But I heard it. I didn't say anything. 15 years of driving taught me silence can be the best thing you offer someone. Some people get into your taxi just so they don't have to be alone, not to talk, just to exist near another human being for a few minutes. But something inside her chest was about to explode. I could feel it. The tension in the air was real, almost tangible. You're safe now, I said, breaking the silence. No one's going to hurt you here. She lifted her eyes to the mirror. Our eyes met, and in that second, I saw everything. Betrayal, pain, humiliation, rage, fear. She didn't need to speak. I already knew. Now what happened? I asked. Even though I had a good idea. She took a deep breath, wiped her face with the back of her hand. The ruined makeup only got worse. I was supposed to get married today, she whispered. My stomach tightened. And you ran. She nodded. I found out. Her voice cracked. She shut her eyes. I found out things. Things I couldn't ignore. I didn't push. Just kept driving. We crossed a bridge. The Detroit River was dark, silent. City lights reflected on the water like ghosts. What's your name? I asked. She took a while to answer, like she'd forgotten who she was. Claire? Marcus, I said. She repeated it softly. Marcus. And that was when I felt it. That tightness in my chest. That sense that this wasn't going to be a normal ride. That this night was going to change something. For her. And maybe for me, too. I looked in the mirror again. Claire was curled up in the back seat, arms wrapped around herself. Vulnerable. Shattered. But alive. I pressed the accelerator a little harder. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I had to get her out of there. Far away. As far as possible. I drove in silence for 10 minutes. Maybe 15. I lost count. I passed through neighborhoods the city stopped trying to fix. Factories shut down decades ago. Graffiti-covered walls. Shattered windows. Detroit has a way of reminding you that not everything survives. Some things just die and stay there, slowly rotting. I drove past an abandoned gas station. The pumps were still standing, rusted. Ghosts from a time no one remembers anymore. A traffic light blinked alone at the intersection. Yellow, yellow, yellow. No cars, no living soul, just me and her. Claire was still in the back seat, clutching the hem of her dress. Her fingers tense, white, as if that piece of fabric was the only thing keeping her from completely falling apart. I didn't ask questions. I learned that a long time ago. At night, people talk when they're ready. No point forcing it. No point pushing. Silence has its own time, its own breath. The rain kept falling, thin, persistent. The kind of rain that never stops, just hangs there, soaking you slowly, reminding you that you're alive, that you still feel. Then suddenly, I heard it. A sob. Soft. Stifled. Claire started crying. It wasn't loud crying. No screaming. It was the kind of crying that comes from a place so deep it barely has sound anymore. Just pain. Pure and raw. I didn't turn around. I just kept driving. Gave her what I could in that moment. Space. Respect. Silence. She cried for a few minutes. Then wiped her face with the torn veil she'd thrown on the floor. The smeared makeup stained the white fabric. And then, she spoke. I was supposed to marry him today. Her voice came out weak, cracked, but steady. I didn't respond. I just kept driving, waiting, The ceremony was at 4 in the afternoon, she continued, staring out the window. Full church, 200 guests, white flowers everywhere. My dress cost $5,000. She gave a bitter laugh. $5,000 for a dress I wore for 3 hours. I swallowed hard. What happened, Claire? She took a deep breath, closed her eyes. This morning, I woke up early, couldn't sleep. Nerves, you know. That good kind of anxiety. I was happy. Excited. I was going to marry the man I loved. Pause. Or at least that's what I thought. My stomach tightened. I grabbed his phone to check the time, she continued. He was in the shower. And then, a message popped up. From my sister. Silence. Messages, she corrected, voice breaking. Hundreds of them. Photos, audio messages, conversations about me, laughing at me, planning meetups. Months, Marcus, months of cheating. And I didn't see any of it. My hand tightened on the steering wheel. I confronted him, she said, anger beginning to seep through. I showed him the messages. He denied everything, said I was reading it wrong, that my sister was obsessed with him, but he never responded. Lie. Lie, she repeated, her voice dripping with venom. I knew. I saw it with my own eyes, but he kept denying it. He cried, hugged me, said I was in shock, that weddings make everyone paranoid. I felt anger rising in my chest. I knew that kind of manipulation. Knew it too well. And your family? I asked. My mom took his side, Claire said, and the pain in those words was physical. Said I was exaggerating, that I'd always been jealous, that I was going to ruin the perfect wedding because of insecurity. And your sister? She denied everything too. Said the messages were just jokes, that I didn't know how to understand sarcasm. Called me crazy. I shook my head. I knew this script. Gaslighting. Manipulation. Making the victim doubt their own sanity. I stayed there, Claire continued. In the church, dressed, makeup done, everyone waiting, and I thought, what if they're right? What if I'm reading this all wrong? She paused, took a deep breath. But then I remembered. The dates, the times, his excuses when he got home late, my sister's work trips to the same cities he traveled to. And I knew I wasn't crazy, that everything was real. And you ran, I said. I ran, she confirmed, right in the middle of the ceremony, everyone staring, my mom yelling. He tried to grab me. I pulled my arm away and ran. I ran barefoot down the street. I didn't stop. I didn't look back until I saw your taxi. A heavy silence filled the car. I kept driving. We crossed a bridge. The Detroit River reflected the city lights. Everything felt distant, unreal. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. Do you believe me? She asked, her voice almost childlike, vulnerable. Yes, I answered without hesitation. I believe you? She let out a breath she must have been holding for hours. Thank you. I looked at her through the rearview mirror. Our eyes met again. I've been cheated on too, I said. My ex-wife. With my best friend. Found out in the worst way possible. Claire stared at me. And how did you survive it? One day at a time, I said. And sometimes, with the help of strangers who showed up at the right moment. A small, fragile smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. What's your name? She asked, even though I'd already told her. Marcus. Thank you, Marcus. And in that moment, something changed. It wasn't just taxi driver and passenger. It was something bigger. A silent pact. Two broken souls crossing paths in the night. I didn't know yet, but that night would change everything. For her and for me. We were getting close to the Port District when I saw them. Headlights. In the rearview mirror. High, bright, aggressive. Coming way too fast. My whole body tensed. Claire, I said, keeping my voice steady. There's someone behind us. She whipped her head around, looked out the rear window, and froze. All the blood drained from her face. It's him, she whispered, her voice strangled. It's him, Marcus. It's him. I looked in the rear view again. A black SUV, big, expensive, speeding dangerously, cutting through the empty lanes of the deserted avenue. You're sure? Yes, she screamed, panic overtaking her. "I know that car. It's his car. Marcus, he found me." My heart started pounding. "He said I'd regret it," Claire continued, her breathing quickening, almost hyperventilating. "That no one would believe me. That I'd pay for running away. Marcus, he doesn't take no for an answer. He never has." I didn't need to hear anything else. I floored it. The taxi groaned. The old engine protested, but it obeyed. The chase began. The wet streets blurred. The rain was hitting the windshield harder now, cutting visibility. The wipers fought to keep up, but I didn't slow down. I couldn't. The SUV stuck to us like glue. It sped up, closed the gap, got just a few feet from my rear bumper. "Marcus!" Claire shouted. "I know!" I yelled back, gripping the wheel. "Hang on!" I made a sharp right turn, shot into a side street, narrow, poorly lit. The taxi skidded slightly, but I corrected it. 15 years driving through this city taught me every corner, every shortcut, every pothole. The SUV turned after us, faster, stronger. Damn. I pushed the gas harder, blew past a red light. No cars coming. Lucky. Turned left, then right again. Cut through an empty parking lot of a closed supermarket. The taxi bounced over the curb at the entrance. Claire screamed. "Trust me," I shouted back. The SUV stayed on us. Its high beams flooded my rearview mirror. I could barely see. We went under a low bridge. The echo of the engine thundered around us. I shot out the other side and swerved sharply into an alley between two abandoned warehouses. Brick walls on both sides. The taxi barely fit. The SUV hesitated for a second, then followed. It was wider. Scraped the walls. Sparks flew, but it kept coming. "He's insane!" Claire cried, grabbing the front seat. "I noticed!" I snapped, focused. I shot out of the alley, turned onto a bigger road. The rain intensified. Now, it was coming down. Heavy. Violent. Visibility almost zero. But I didn't stop. I knew Detroit like the back of my hand. Every neighborhood, every detour, every dead end that wasn't actually a dead end if you knew where to look. I turned onto another street. Alleys, factories, empty lots. The city looked like a noir maze, shadows and neon reflections on puddles. Everything wet, slick, dangerous. The SUV was still behind us, relentless. Then I saw it, a one-way street, coming toward us. I had an idea. "Hold on," I warned, and I drove into oncoming traffic. Claire screamed, covered her face with her hands. I sped down the wrong way, dodging poles, trash cans, parked cars, my heart pounding in my ears. Pure adrenaline. The SUV hesitated, then followed. Crazy. He really was crazy. I saw an empty lot ahead. Fence knocked down, makeshift entry. I swerved hard, cut across the lot, rocks and mud flying. The taxi shook violently. Claire hit her head on the roof. "Sorry," I yelled. But it worked. I exited on the other side, pulled onto a parallel street, checked the rear view. Nothing. Silence. Just rain. I slowed a little, took a breath, looked again. Nothing. "We lost him," I said, barely believing it. Claire was shaking, crying, but alive. I drove for a few more minutes, slower now, checking the mirror constantly. Nothing. He'd lost us. I spotted an empty parking lot near an abandoned motel. Peeling walls, broken sign, lights off. I pulled in, parked in the darkest corner, turned off the engine. Total silence. Just rain hitting the roof of the taxi. Claire and I were breathing hard, hearts racing, sweat mixed with rain. Did we make it?" she asked, voice trembling. "For now," I said, still gripping the wheel. My hands were shaking. She collapsed in the back seat, covered her face, cried. I got out of the taxi. The rain drenched me in seconds. I walked to the back door, opened it, sat beside her. "Hey," I said softly, "you're safe. I'm not going to let him get you. You hear me?" She looked at me. Red eyes, destroyed face. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "You don't know me. You could have dropped me off on any corner." I took a deep breath, looked at the rain falling outside. Because someone did this for me once, I said, when I needed it most. And I promised that if I ever had the chance to do the same, I would. Claire squeezed my hand. Thank you, Marcus. This isn't over yet, I said, looking at the empty street. He's still looking. We need a plan. She nodded. What do we do now? I grabbed my phone, looked at the screen. 3:58 a.m. Now, I said, we call real help. And I dialed a number I'd kept saved for years. A number I swore I'd never use again. But tonight wasn't a normal night. And Claire wasn't just another passenger. She was someone who deserved to be saved. And I was going to make that happen. Even if it was the last thing I did. In the silence of that empty parking lot, with the rain drumming on the taxi roof and the city asleep around us, I turned off the engine. The silence that followed was dense, heavy. Claire was still trembling. Not from the cold, from shock, from fear, from everything that had happened in the last few hours. I turned toward her. Our eyes met. Listen, I said, my voice steady. You're not going back to him ever. Understand? She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Her mascara had run so much it looked like melted black paint across her skin. Why are you doing this? She asked, her voice breaking. Why are you risking so much for me? You don't even know me. I took a deep breath. It was a fair question, and she deserved an honest answer. Because, I began, choosing my words carefully, I've been where you are. Not exactly the same way, but I know that pain. I know that betrayal. Claire wiped her face with the back of her hand. She waited. 10 years ago, I continued. I was married. I had a wife, beautiful, smart. I thought we were happy. We had a daughter, Sophie. She was 5 at the time. I stopped. The memory still hurt, even after all this time. I worked a lot, spent nights in the taxi trying to pay the bills, trying to give them a good life. My wife was alone a lot, and I didn't see what was happening. Claire didn't say anything. She just listened. Until one night, I continued. I got home early, wanted to surprise her. I bought flowers, chocolate, thought it would be a special night. I swallowed hard, and then I saw it. My best friend's car parked in my driveway, 2:30 in the morning. The silence that followed was brutal. I walked in through the front door, I said, my voice quieter now, went up the stairs, and I saw everything. My wife, my best friend, in my bed. Claire covered her mouth with her hand. I shone and I confronted them, I went on. Yelled, cried, made a scene, woke Sophie up. She came down the stairs crying, not understanding anything. And my wife? She didn't even apologize. She just said she was leaving, that she had fallen in love with him, that I had never been enough. I paused, breathed. And she took Sophie, I said. And even now, saying it hurt. Got custody. Told the court I was unstable, that I worked too much, that I wasn't a good father. Marcus, Claire whispered. I fell apart, I said. Hard. Depression. Drinking. Spent months unable to get out of bed. Almost lost a taxi. Almost lost everything. I thought about giving up. Honestly, I thought about ending everything. Tears began rolling down my face. It had been a long time since I'd talked about this, since I let it out. Until one night, I continued, a woman got into my taxi. She was a social worker, and she noticed that I was falling apart, that I was at the edge. What did she do? Claire asked. She talked to me, I said, all night. She didn't charge me for the ride. She just talked, listened, and before she got out, she handed me a card, a support group, told me, you're not going to die like this. I won't let you. I wiped my face. And she didn't let me, I said. She called me every week, for months, until I had the courage to go to the group, until I started putting myself back together. She saved my life, Claire, without knowing me. Without owing me anything. Claire held my hand, squeezed it tight. I rebuilt my life, I said. Slowly, one day at a time. I stopped drinking, got back to working right, and eventually, I reconnected with Sophie. She's 15 now. Our relationship isn't what I wish it was, but we have a relationship, and that's worth a lot. I looked at Claire, straight into her eyes. Someone saved me when I was at rock bottom, I said, when nothing made sense anymore. And from that day on, I promised myself, if I ever had the chance to do the same for someone else, I would, without thinking twice. Claire started crying again, but this time it was different. It wasn't despair. It was relief, gratitude. Thank you, Marcus, she said, voice trembling. Thank you for seeing me, for believing me, for not leaving me alone. You're not alone, I said, not anymore. She hugged me, right there, in the back seat of that old rain-soaked taxi, in an empty parking lot of an abandoned motel. And in that moment, something shifted. It wasn't romance. It wasn't attraction. It was something bigger, deeper, pure humanity. Two broken souls finding comfort in each other. Two survivors sharing their scars. When she pulled away, I saw something different in her eyes. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was determination. What do we do now? She asked. Now, I said, grabbing my phone. We call someone who can actually help you. Someone who will believe you. Who will protect you. Who? I looked at the phone. At the name on the screen. Detective Sarah Monroe. The woman who had saved me 10 years ago. The social worker turned police detective. The person I owed my life. Someone who knows what it's like to look into the abyss, I said, and choose to come back. I dialed the number and waited, because tonight wasn't over yet. And Claire deserved an ending different from the one her ex-fiancé had planned. She deserved justice. She deserved peace. And I was going to do everything in my power to make that happen, even if it cost me everything. Aqui está a tradução completa para o inglês americano, fiel ao seu texto, preservando emoção, ritmo, tensão e cultura, sem alterar nada. I grabbed my phone. My fingers were shaking a little, not from fear, from anger, from determination. I was about to dial 911. Wait, Claire said suddenly, grabbing my arm. I looked at her. What? She hesitated, bit her lip, her eyes filling with fear again. If you call the police, she began, voice unsteady. He has friends there, at the station. He's a lawyer, Marcus, a criminal defense attorney. He knows half the Detroit Police Department. My stomach tightened. He'll say I'm the crazy one, Claire continued, her voice cracking. That I ran off because I have mental issues. That he tried to help me but I snapped. And they'll believe him. They always believe him. Damn. She was right. I knew this game. I'd seen it before. Rich, connected man versus hysterical woman. The system almost always picks the wrong side. Then we do it differently, I said, thinking fast. How? I looked at my phone, thought through the options, and then I remembered. Sarah, Detective Sarah Monroe, the woman who had saved me 10 years ago, who had been a social worker before becoming a cop, who had called me every week until I got back on my feet. She worked domestic violence cases now, complicated ones, cases that required sensitivity and guts. I know someone, I said. Someone who will believe you, someone who isn't in anyone's pocket. Claire looked at me with a flicker of hope. I searched for her name in my contacts. Found it. Took a deep breath. 4:15 a.m. I dialed. It rang 3 times. Better be important, her voice answered, groggy, irritated. Sarah, I said, it's Marcus. Silence for a second. Marcus? Taxi driver Marcus? Yeah. It's 4 a.m, Marcus. What's going on? I need you, I said. I've got a woman with me. She ran from her wedding. The fiancé is chasing her. He's a lawyer, connected, and she's afraid to call 911. Sarah's tone changed instantly. Where are you? Moonlight Motel parking lot, on Jefferson Avenue. The one that shut down last year. I know it. Stay there. Don't move. I'm on my way. Sarah, I'm coming, Marcus. 20 minutes. And she hung up. I looked at Claire. She's coming. Claire exhaled the breath she'd been holding. Is she trustworthy? With my life, I said. I sat beside her in the back seat. The rain had softened. Now just a light drizzle. The abandoned motel in front of us looked like something out of a noir film. Peeling paint, broken windows, A place forgotten by time. Tell me more, I said gently. About him. About what he was like. Claire took a deep breath. Closed her eyes. In the beginning, she said, he was perfect. Attentive. Romantic. Brought me flowers. Took me out to dinner. Told me I was the woman of his life. Pause. Yeah, but after about 6 months, things started changing. Slowly. So slowly I didn't even notice. How? He started commenting on my clothes, she said. Said this dress was too flashy. That I didn't need to dress up so much to go out with my friends. That he liked me. Natural. I recognized the pattern. Control disguised as care. And your friends? I asked. He didn't like them, Claire said. Said they were a bad influence. That they put nonsense in my head. That if I really loved him, I'd spend more time with him and less with them. And you started pulling away. I did, she admitted, voice heavy with guilt. I thought it was normal, that couples spend more time together, that I was growing up, maturing. But really, I was being isolated. She wiped a tear. He monitored my phone, she continued. Wanted to know where I was all the time, who I was talking to. Said it was because he cared, because he loved me. But it wasn't love, I said. No, she agreed. It was control, possession. I was an object to him, something he owned. And your family didn't see any of this? Claire let out a bitter laugh. My family thought he was perfect, successful, polite, respectful. My mother said I was lucky, that he was a good catch. And your sister? Claire's face hardened. My sister always envied me, she said, resentment clear in her voice. Since we were kids, I was always the pretty one, the smart one. And she always felt in my shadow. At least that's what she believed. So she wanted what was yours. Exactly, Claire said. And he probably thought it was fun. Having both sisters, playing one against the other. I felt disgusted. But everyone thought he was perfect, Claire went on. No one saw what I saw. No one believed me when I tried to talk. So I stopped talking, and I almost married him. But you didn't, I said. You ran. You chose yourself. She looked at me. Because I saw the messages. Because I had proof. If not, I think I would have married him. And then it would have been too late. Suddenly headlights entered the parking lot. My body tensed. Relax, I said. It's probably Sarah. An unmarked car pulled up near the taxi. A woman stepped out. Jeans, leather jacket, hair in a loose bun, early 40s. Sharp eyes. Sarah Monroe. She tapped on the taxi window. I opened the door. Marcus, she said, giving me a quick hug. Been a while. Yeah, I replied. Thanks for coming. She looked at Claire. You must be the bride. Claire nodded. Sarah got into the taxi, sat in the front seat, turned toward Claire. Tell me everything, she said, her voice firm but gentle. From the beginning. And Claire told her. Everything. The messages. The betrayal. The family who didn't believe her. The escape. The chase. Sarah listened, without interrupting, without judging. When Claire finished, Sarah took a deep breath. I believe you, she said. Claire began to cry. From relief. I'm going to help you, Sarah continued. But we need to do this right. Got it? With evidence, with witnesses, with everything we need to make sure he never hurts you again. Claire nodded, wiping her tears. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for believing me. Sarah took her hand. Always, she said. And in that moment, I knew Claire was going to be okay. That we were going to make this work. Together. Sarah stayed silent for a moment. Thinking. Calculating. Then she looked at Claire. We need evidence, she said. Testimony won't be enough. Not against a lawyer with connections. We need him to incriminate himself. How? Claire asked. By confronting him, Sarah replied. But on our terms. With you safe. Recording everything. My stomach tightened. That's dangerous, I said. I know, Sarah agreed. But it's our best chance. We do this in a public place, full of people, full of cameras. He won't be able to do anything. Claire was pale, but there was determination in her eyes. I'll do it, she said. If that's what needs to be done, I'll do it. Sarah nodded. Then let's build the plan. We spent the next 20 minutes going over every detail. Sarah had experience with this kind of operation. She knew exactly what to do. There's a diner on Gratiot Avenue, she said. Open 24 hours. There's always people inside. Always security cameras. It's perfect. What if he brings someone? I asked. He won't, Sarah said. Men like him are arrogant. They think they have total control, that they can handle everything alone. Claire nodded. He never accepts help from anyone. He thinks he's smarter than everyone else. Perfect, Sarah said. Then we use that against him. She looked at Claire. You're going to call him. Tell him you need to talk. Alone, that you're confused. That maybe you misunderstood everything. Lie to him, Claire said. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. Give him what he wants to hear. Make him feel in control. And when he relaxes, we get him. Claire took a deep breath. Okay, I can do that. Sarah handed her a small recorder. This goes hidden in your clothes. Records everything. Perfect audio quality. It'll be admissible in court. Claire took the recorder, looked at it like it was a weapon. And you'll be there? She asked, looking at me and Sarah. I'll be undercover, Sarah said. At a nearby table, Marcus too. We're not letting anything happen to you, I promise. I looked at Claire. I won't let him hurt you, I said. No way, she nodded. Picked up her phone with trembling hands. Now, Sarah confirmed. Claire dialed the number, put it on speaker. It rang twice. Claire. His voice was cold, controlled. Where are you? I need to talk to you, Claire said, her voice shaky but convincing. Alone. Where are you? He repeated, firmer now. I'll meet you at the Gratiot Diner, she said. In half an hour. Just you. Please. Silence. Are you coming back to me? He asked. Claire closed her eyes. We need to talk first. Fine, he said. Half an hour. Don't be late. And he hung up. Claire dropped the phone, her hands shaking. I did it, she whispered. You did, Sarah said, touching her shoulder. Now we go and finish this. The Gratiot Diner was exactly how Sarah described it. Too bright, smell of old coffee and bacon, red Formica tables, a counter with spinning stools, 3 visible security cameras, a few scattered people, truck drivers, nurses getting off shift, insomniacs like me. Claire walked in first, still in her wedding dress, dirty now, torn, but still drawing attention. Everyone looked. She sat at a table near the window, visible, exposed. Sarah walked in 2 minutes later, different jacket, hat, glasses, sat 3 tables behind Claire, pretended to read a newspaper. I walked in last, took a seat at the counter, ordered coffee, sat with my back to the door, but I could see everything through the mirror behind the counter. We waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then he arrived. I saw him in the mirror before I saw him for real. Impeccable suit. Black, gray tie, hair slicked back, a perfectly rehearsed mask of false concern on his face. He walked into the diner like he owned the place. He saw Claire, walked toward her. Claire, he said, soft voice, theatrical. Love, thank God you're okay. He tried to take her hand. She pulled away. Sit, she said, her voice firm. He hesitated, then sat, still wearing that mask of concern. Why did you run? He asked. Everyone's worried. Your mother's desperate. Your sister cried all night. I bet she did, I thought, out of rage for being caught. Claire took a deep breath, looked straight into his eyes. I saw the messages, she said. With my sister. For a fraction of a second the mask fell. Pure anger crossed his face. His eyes went cold, dangerous, but he recovered. Too fast, too trained. Claire, he said, lowering his voice, condescending. You're delusional. It's wedding stress. You're misinterpreting everything. I'm not, she said, her voice stronger now. I saw it, all of it. Months of messages, pictures, conversations about me, you two laughing at me. He sighed, theatrical, like he was dealing with a stubborn child. Your sister has issues, he said. She's always been jealous of you. She texted me. I tried to be polite. but you're reading everything wrong. Lie, Claire said. His face hardened. Careful, Claire, he said, his voice shifting. Lower, threatening. You're making a scene. Embarrassing yourself, embarrassing me, embarrassing your family. I don't care, she said. He leaned forward. Eyes locked onto hers. You're coming back with me, he said. No longer a request, a command. Now, we're leaving. You're going to apologize to everyone, and we're going to forget this nonsense ever happened. No, Claire said. No? He repeated, anger starting to seep through. You think you have a choice? You think anyone will believe you? You ran from your own wedding, Claire. You're clearly unstable, mentally disturbed. I'm going to have to commit you, for your own safety. My blood boiled. Sarah looked at me, gave me a signal. Wait, you're not committing me, Claire said, her voice shaking but firm. You're not controlling my life anymore. He slammed his hand on the table. Hard. People in the diner turned to look. You'll do what I tell you, he hissed, losing control. You belong to me. Do you understand? To me. And you're coming with me right now, or I swear you will regret it for the rest of your pathetic life. That's when I stood up. I walked to their table. She's not going anywhere with you, I said, my voice calm but firm. He looked at me, eyes full of contempt. Who the hell are you? He demanded. Someone who's not going to let you hurt her, I answered. He stood up, taller than me, younger, stronger probably, but I didn't back down. Get out of my way, he said. No! The tension snapped. He took a step toward me, his hand curling into a fist, and that was when Sarah stood up. Detroit Police Department, she said, flashing her badge. Sit down. Now. His face went white. What? You heard me, Sarah said. Sit. Put your hands on the table and don't move. He looked around, saw the cameras, saw the witnesses, saw that he had walked into a trap. This is ridiculous, he tried, desperately. I'm a lawyer. You can't. We can, Sarah cut in. And we will. You just threatened her. In front of witnesses. On recording. You're done. Claire stood up, pulled the recorder from inside her dress, showed it to him. It's over, she said. And for the first time since I'd met that man, he looked small, afraid, defeated. Sarah handcuffed him, and I finally breathed. Even handcuffed, he was still trying to stay in control. You have nothing on me, he said, his voice regaining that lawyer arrogance. I raised my voice. Big deal. Not a crime. And the messages? They can be interpreted in several ways. Any mediocre attorney could tear that apart in 2 hours. Sarah didn't answer. She just looked at Claire. And that's when I saw it. A different spark in her eyes. It wasn't fear anymore. It was determination, anger, justice. It's not just cheating, Claire said, her voice steady now. The groom frowned. What? Claire grabbed her phone. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. She opened something, turned the screen toward him. I found more than the messages with my sister, she said. I found this. He looked, and all the blood drained from his face. What's that? Sarah asked. Emails, Claire replied. Bank transfers, forged documents. He was siphoning money from my family's company. For over a year. My jaw dropped. What? Claire looked at me, then at Sarah. My dad owns a construction company, she explained. A successful one. He was getting ready to retire. And since the wedding was coming up, he started putting my fiancé's name on some documents, giving him access, preparing for him to take over part of the business. She paused, took a deep breath. But then, a couple of weeks ago, my dad mentioned that some numbers weren't adding up. Transfers he didn't recognize. Contracts signed that he never approved. He thought it was the accountant's mistake. But it wasn't, I said. No, Claire confirmed. I started investigating, quietly, without telling anyone, and I found it. He was diverting money, transferring it to offshore accounts, forging signatures, getting ready to drain the company as soon as we got married. Sarah grabbed her phone and started scrolling through the images. Her eyes widened. This is, she began. Fraud, Claire completed. Money laundering, document forgery, Federal crimes. The groom was pale, completely pale. You can't prove any of that, he stuttered. I can, Claire said. I copied everything. Emails, bank statements, forged contracts. Everything. It's all here. And it's also with my family's attorney. I sent everything yesterday morning, before the ceremony. He tried to stand. I pushed him back into the chair. You're not going anywhere, I said. Sarah was typing on her phone, making calls. I need the Financial Crimes Division here, she said into the phone. Now, and an investigative team. I have evidence of fraud, money laundering, and forgery. The groom looked around, desperate, searching for an escape. But there wasn't one. The wedding, Claire continued, her voice filled with anger now, wasn't about love, it was a scam. He was going to marry me, get full access to my family's company, drain everything, and probably leave me with nothing afterward. And your sister? I asked. She didn't know, Claire said. And for the first time, I saw doubt in her eyes. At least, I don't think she did. She was just a distraction, a toy for him, while he executed the real plan. Sirens started echoing outside. I looked out the window. 3 vehicles, not regular patrol cars, unmarked cars, investigators. The walls were closing in. This is a mistake, the groom began, his voice rising. You're making a huge mistake. I'm a lawyer. I know people, powerful people. You'll regret this. You're under arrest, Sarah said calmly, ignoring his threats. 2 investigators entered the diner. Sarah showed her badge, quickly explained the situation. They looked at the evidence on Claire's phone. We need him at the station, one of the investigators said. Now. They grabbed the groom, lifted him up, still handcuffed. He looked at Claire, and for the first time the mask fell completely. There was no charm, no control, just rage, pure hatred. You'll pay for this, he spat. You and your entire family will pay. Shut up, the investigator said, pushing him forward. They escorted him out, the handcuffs shining under the diner lights. Everyone watching. Claire stood still, just staring, trembling. I placed a hand on her shoulder. It's over, I said softly. And that's when she broke down. Not from sadness, not from regret, from relief. She collapsed into my arms, cried, sobbed. All the weight of the last hours finally leaving her body. Sarah came closer. Your sister will also have to give a statement, she said. We'll investigate her involvement, whether she knew about the fraud or not. Claire nodded, still crying. And your family? Sarah asked. Do they know? My dad knows about the suspicions, Claire said, but not the extent. I'll have to tell him everything now. They'll believe you, I said, now that you have evidence, now that the truth is out. Claire looked at me, her eyes red, swollen, but there was something different in them now. Hope. Thank you, Marcus, she said. You saved my life. Literally. If you hadn't stopped that taxi. But I did, I said, interrupting her gently. And you had the courage to run, to fight, to refuse to be a victim. That was all you, Claire. She smiled. A small smile. Fragile, but real. Sarah placed a hand on Claire's shoulder. You'll need to stay available to testify, she said. It might be a long process, but with the evidence you have, he's not getting out of this. Claire nodded. I'll do whatever it takes. Outside, the vehicles drove away. The groom disappeared inside one of them, probably headed to a holding cell, where he'd spend a long time thinking about the choices he'd made. I looked at Claire, at Sarah, at the other people in the diner returning to their coffees and toast, as if nothing had happened. But something had happened. A life had been saved. A truth had been exposed. And sometimes that's how justice works. Not with grand heroic gestures, but with small acts of courage. With strangers who believe in you when no one else does. With a cab driver who stopped on a rainy early morning. And with a woman who found the courage to run. 3 months later, Detroit's early morning was cold. November had arrived with force, bringing that cutting wind that sinks into your bones. But I didn't mind. I was driving, as always. The same streets, the same traffic lights, the same city. But something had changed. I had changed. I looked in the rearview mirror, saw my own reflection, 43 years old, gray hair at the temples, wrinkles around my eyes. But there was something different now. I smiled more. I can't fully explain it. It was as if that night, the night of the bride in the rain, had awakened something in me that had been asleep for years. Purpose, meaning. The feeling that I wasn't just another cab driver circling the city. I was someone who could make a difference. My phone vibrated. A message. I grabbed it at a red light. It was Claire. "Hi, Marcus. Just wanted to say I started therapy today. It was hard, but necessary. Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." I smiled, replied quickly, "So proud of you. Stay strong. You deserve all the happiness in the world." She sent messages like that from time to time, updates about her life, how she was rebuilding everything, brick by brick. Her ex-fiancé had been indicted, fraud, money laundering, forgery. The list was long. The trial was set for next year. Claire was going to testify, and this time, everyone believed her. Her sister had also been investigated. They found out she knew part of the scheme. Not all of it, but enough. The family was shattered, but Claire was free, and that was what mattered. The light turned green. I accelerated. The night was calm. I picked up a few passengers, a nurse getting off her shift, a college student leaving the library, a drunk guy I dropped safely at home. It was almost 2 in the morning when my phone rang. Ride request. I accepted. The address was close. An Italian restaurant downtown. I arrived in 5 minutes, parked, waited. The door of the restaurant opened, and she walked out, Claire. But she wasn't the same Claire from that night. Not the woman in the torn wedding dress, smudged makeup, barefoot and terrified. This Claire was different. Hair loose, shining under the streetlight. A simple but elegant dress, a smile on her face, laughing with 2 friends who walked out behind her. She saw the taxi, saw the number, and her face lit up. "Marcus!" she shouted, waving. I got out of the cab, opened my arms. She hugged me tightly. "What a coincidence," she said, smiling. "You still work around here?" "Always," I replied. "And you? Doing well?" "Very well," she said, and I could see it was true. There was life in her eyes. Light. Hope. "These are my friends, Anna and Jessica." The 2 waved, polite, curious. "This is Marcus," Claire told them. "The man who saved my life." "Claire," I began, but she cut me off. "It's true," she said. "If it hadn't been for you that night, I don't know what would have happened to me." Her friends got into the taxi. Claire stayed outside for 1 more second. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything." "No need to thank me," I replied. "You saved yourself. I just drove." She smiled, shook her head. "We both know it wasn't just that." She got into the taxi, sat in the back with her friends. During the ride, they talked, laughed, told stories. Claire was alive again, truly alive. When I dropped all 3 of them in front of a building, Claire got out last. "Marcus," she said before closing the door, "do you have kids?" "I do," I replied. "A daughter? Sophie, 15. Are you too close?" I smiled. "We're reconnecting," I said. After that night, I realized I had neglected so much, so I called her. We started talking again, slowly, but it's a start. Claire smiled. "I'm glad, Marcus. You deserve that. You deserve to be happy." "You too," I said. She waved, closed the door, and walked away. I stayed there for a moment, just watching, thinking. Then I turned the engine on and went back to the road. 3:30 in the morning. The city was almost empty now. Only the insomniacs, the night shift workers, and me. I drove without a destination, just driving, thinking. The early morning is strange. It has a unique quality, a silence that speaks, a solitude that connects. At that hour, people show who they really are. No masks, no filters, just human. And sometimes, you pick up a passenger. Sometimes, the passenger picks you up. Lives cross for seconds, minutes, a taxi ride, a desperate plea in the rain. A hand offered at the right moment. But a few seconds can change everything. Claire changed my life as much as I changed hers. She reminded me why I do what I do. She reminded me that it matters, that I matter, that sometimes being in the right place at the right time is all someone needs. I drove down Woodward Avenue, the same street where I had seen Claire running that night, barefoot, terrified, broken, and now she was rebuilt, stronger, freer. I smiled. My phone buzzed. It was Sophie. A message. "Dad, still working? Be careful, love you." My heart warmed. I replied quickly. "I'm always careful, love you too, sweetheart. See you tomorrow?" "See you tomorrow." I put my phone away. Took a deep breath. Life wasn't perfect. There were still scars, still pain, still tough nights and memories that hurt. But there was also this, moments of connection, of redemption, of second chances. I looked at the city, Detroit, with all its scars and beauty, its empty streets and lost souls, its untold stories and anonymous heroes. And I kept driving, because somewhere, in this huge city, someone was going to need a cab. Someone would be running in the rain, barefoot, terrified, desperate. And maybe, just maybe, I would be there, at the right place, at the right time, ready to do what I do best, drive, listen, believe, and sometimes save a life. Not with grand heroic gestures, but with small acts of humanity. Because in the end, that's what we are. Human, imperfect, broken, but still capable of kindness, still capable of compassion, still capable of changing someone's world with a simple "get in." I turned left, took a side street. The rain started falling again, thin, persistent, and I smiled. Because the early morning wasn't over yet. And in Detroit, the early morning always holds surprises. There's always someone who needs help. Always a story waiting to be told. And me? I'll still be here, driving through the shadows, ready for the next passenger, ready for the next story. Because that's what I do. That's who I am. Marcus, cab driver. And sometimes, when luck allows, a lifesaver. A crossing soul, in the city that never fully sleeps.